Well, hello everybody. It's a cold day out here, and I know that I don't want to take very much time, but I do want to tell you about this story. Before I do that, there's one other I'd like to thank, is Lane Morris. My name shouldn't be Bob, it should be Boo, so I apologize for that. We have a wonderful opportunity to have this exhibit here on a very good weekend, Memorial Day. And so many times in our lives, we forget about the memories and the things that make us. Well, that morning, September 11th, 2001, was a defining moment in my life. Like everyone else, and as a firefighter, I was glued to the television. In fact, I was a couple hours late to work. I worked in the training division at that time, and I was a couple of hours late because I was glued to the television, as most of us were. And my gut reaction was, we need to go back and help. I need to get in my car and just start driving east. Well, that's probably the last thing that these guys needed, was just a bunch of people showing up unorganized and everything else. And I was so grateful when Utah Task Force 1 was given the opportunity to go to New York. But here I sat at home with this drive to help. And we did all kinds of fundraisers here in the valley, and it was a wonderful experience to work together with all of the agencies along the Wasatch Front to raise money to send back there. But still, I have this drive to do something more. I approached my boss, which was Chief Todd Brown at the time, and I just said, man, wouldn't it be great to go around the country and gather some money and take it back to those firefighters' families in New York? And he says, well, that's a great idea, do it. And so with that challenge and my boss saying do it, I try to be obedient. Not always the case, but I try to be. And so I started putting an idea together. I contacted several of the firefighters of our department and other departments, and we decided we're going to do this. We're not quite sure how we're going to do this yet, but we're going to do this. I contacted Pierce Manufacturing in Appleton, Wisconsin, and our goal, the fire department in New York had lost so many apparatus in this, and our goal was to raise enough funds to purchase an apparatus for them, or give them an apparatus. We contacted Pierce to see what the availability would be of an apparatus and what we could do. This little engine over here is engine 72. That's the little engine that did. Pierce Manufacturing told us, we've got an engine coming off the assembly line and we'll let you use that. And our goal was, we would wanted to turn it over to these guys at the end of our journey. So we went to Appleton, Wisconsin, a group of about 14 of us. And we picked up this engine, and it was decorated a little bit differently. And there's some pictures over here that you can see how it was decorated. It was decorated, we called ourselves the Fallen Fun. And we went to Appleton, Wisconsin. We were able to secure, because of a relationship we had with Ken Garf Dodge here in West Valley, they donated a couple of vans for us to utilize so that we could transport our people to the different places. And then Ardell Brown RV donated an RV for us to travel in. And we loaded it with t-shirts and trinkets and everything we could think of that we could sell to collect money and raise funds for that. We traveled to Appleton, Wisconsin. From there we went to St. Louis. We went to Chicago first, then St. Louis, then to Kansas City, then to Denver. Then we came back here to Salt Lake City. When we got back to Salt Lake City, there was a shift of some personnel, because everyone that went on that journey, the firefighters, if they had vacation that they could use and it was available, they could do that. But most of it was by shift trades, which means they're going to trade with another firefighter and cover them. while they're on the road. We were here in Salt Lake for 2 days, and then we journeyed to Portland. Then we journeyed to Los Angeles, and we were in Los Angeles on Halloween night. We were in West Hollywood, and it was a wild scene. There was about 300,000 people at an event in West Hollywood, and as you can imagine, it was every walk of life. Halloween, you see a lot of costumes. We saw a lot of people with very little costumes. And for a bunch of Utah boys and girls, it was a little shocking. From Los Angeles, we went to Las Vegas. And then Las Vegas, we went to Phoenix. And we were actually able to be in Phoenix at Game 6 of the World Series that year. We sat up just outside the stadium there to raise funds. From there, we went to Oklahoma City. And then to Memphis. Or Nashville, not Memphis, it was Nashville. And we were actually in Nashville on the night of the Country Music Awards. And we were able to set up there and raise some funds. We then journeyed to Pittsburgh, then into Philadelphia. And we were in Philadelphia for a couple of days. And we actually met some New York firefighters that were on a bike tour. They left New York and they were kind of on a thank you tour. And we met them and were able to visit with them. The interesting thing on that morning is the shock had not worn off of anybody. And the emotions were still very close to the surface. And that morning, as Good Morning America came to visit and air an episode on their show with their firefighters and us as we met together, it was the same day that another plane had crashed, and I believe it went down in Yonkers. And it was in the neighborhood of one of the firefighters. And we didn't know if this was a terror attack. And you can physically see these men see their stature change because they were worried about their brothers and sisters. They were worried about their families. There's a picture of a little girl sitting at a table at the fire station there in Philadelphia. And I'll never forget that little girl because she was sitting there sobbing, not knowing what was going on. We were able to make it into New York. We went to the house. The house is ladder 15, and I think it's engine 4. And we were able to present them with a check because as we were working our way back to New York, we found out that they're pretty particular about their apparatus. And that little engine just wasn't good enough. But it was all right because during that time we were able to raise about $140,000, and we were able to present. We were able to present them with that money so that they could get it to the families. So we didn't want it to have to go through a bunch of channels to get to where it needed to be. We had the opportunity to go to Ground Zero. And I remember as our group was making its way to Ground Zero, I pulled a police officer and he talked a lot like these guys. Because I wanted to make it over to where Station 10 sat. And he said in his New York, go down this street here and you'll find a little alley here, and you go over there. And he gave me great directions, and I got there, and as I walked into where Station 10 sat, and I was able to be there by myself for about 30 minutes or so. I watched the work that was going on. I watched the trucks pulling out. I watched the cranes grabbing debris. And as those cranes would grab debris, every once in a while, as they would grab the debris, mind you, this is November, the very first part of November. The heat down in the core of that hole was so hot in spots as that crane would grab some debris, and as it would hit the oxygen, smoke and flames would still rise. I thought of the horrors of that day as we stood there on that sacred trail. And there's a picture of us at Ground Zero. You'll notice the somber faces of the firefighters that were there that day. It's a wonderful experience. And this, like I mentioned, this is Memorial Day weekend. As I think about the men and the women, not only in the fire service or the police agencies, but all those others that perished that day, I think about the memories that they had and the memories that their family had. I think about all of the memories that will be missed, that won't be made because of that day. May we never forget the sacrifices that have been made for us. Whether that's military, public safety, or grandma and grandpa. May we never forget that. May we cherish the memories that we do have. And may we honor the memories of those that have made the ultimate sacrifice.